Book 1, Bazur's Plot, Chapter 53, Second Day at the Fifth Woods, Swamp Village. I woke up to the smell of coffee. I raised myself immediately in my hammock. The night was fading away and it was becoming lighter already, but it was still dim. The sun was coming up early, clearly on the horizon, and I saw Tara making coffee. I whispered, "Are you sure that's safe?" She smiled. Yes, Capritors and I had already met about the current situation of surroundings, and some of them also like coffee, and there seems to be no movement around this part woods from Bazur right now, so we decided it would be okay. Clearly there were some other coffee drinkers as well than Jack, since there was already a lineup in front of Tara. Camp was packed in no time and everybody was eating their sandwiches. These sandwiches were multiple varieties, but any of them I picked up, they were all just delicious. Everyone ate fast and the camp got cleaned in a split second. Tara spoke when it looked like everyone was just about done. Today's the second day here on the fifth woods. We hope to make to the sixth woods before facing Bazur, but either way we are ready. I know you are very tense now due to those noises here, but something is clearly up. But all we can do right now is just to be alert and do our tasks. And nobody goes anywhere alone. Is that clear? Everyone nodded. Always bears or bigger groups, she continued. Tara took the lead again and guided us back to the trail. It was wide enough for us to walk side by side. I looked at Jack and silently took the right side, and Jack nodded and went to the left. We started to scan and walk with a slightly faster pace, but that we still could keep up for the whole day. I glanced behind me and thought I was helping medical elves to ride more bears. It made sense. Well, Deep Claw was actually first one and ensured the crew's safety in the trail before Tara. Medical elves' feet were shorter, and even though I was not tall, they had to take 3 or 4 steps when I just took one. So it really made sense to ride more bears. The morning was uneventful. The trail was clean to the next village. It seemed that we were going now toward east. We only had been in the fifth woods yesterday, south and west villages. So it was expected that we needed to return to the eastern side. We have rescued so many so far. So avoiding Bazur clearly was a good approach. And if yesterday's big cat creatures and barracks, I think, or some of them return to help us later, that would be clearly an additional asset when facing Bazur. We arrived at the small village, first one of today. Again about that little over dozen houses. A tiny little village that was kind of having a trail, and instead of clearing among the houses, they were facing little swamp filled with beautiful life, flowers, butterflies and such. These houses were smaller, looked like elephant size, so small, elf size. Jack looked at me with helpless expression. I laughed and said, "How about if I take the houses and you do the surroundings?" He smiled at me and said, "Gladly, thank you. I don't know if I could crawl in there." I turned to the medical elves and said, "I may need your help if I'm not fitting inside, other than to do uncursing at the door." They all laughed and spread around to wait where the first one would be uncursed. Everyone just seemed to know this place would have some. It just had a feeling of sleeping village. After a while, we seemed to have a lot of awakened ones sitting in front of the houses in the trail. In the houses there were some elf tribes, in the houses, these creatures were some elf tribes, but they were smaller the elves that were about half of the size, just like halflings. These were very petite and tiny, but looked very much like elves. It seemed that this was one of the villages that was surprised in their sleep. So sad and nice. Sad because they were all changed to non-living things like stones, chairs, tables, you name it. But nice since they were all gone at the same time and they were saved from the grief and fear. Jack was finding a lot of fairy kind of creatures. He was checking the surroundings, and since the village was facing a swamp, there seemed to be a whole fairy tribe there. Flickfinkulkings had been so sad last days, since there were no fairy transport to do. They were not even screeching. That was a serious sign that they were actually sad. And now they were hopping up and down on the ground, making just very tiny squeaks. I looked at Sylvester and she winked at me and said, I found something to make them more quiet. To be honest, I really liked their squeaks, but right now obviously it was better if they were less vocal. I saw Tara prepping the first fairy transport and loading them to Flickfingulkin's back. They were off so fast that we just had to laugh. I guess they were missing flying. Makes sense though. There were more fairies, but they were sitting in a couple of elves' baskets, and Tora and Tara were carrying them now until Flickfins would come back for the next round. I finished the last elf house that was little bigger at the end of the village. It had 3 awakened ones that were helped to sit with the others. Tora was already loading elves with the help of others to Morberns and climbing to Garnock's back. I asked, "Are you taking them back to the elf tunnels?" Tora shook his head. "No, elf tunnels and underground villages start to be full now. So we take them back to palace, meaning transporting them to boats." I probably looked puzzled and since he continued, "The underground tunnels and villages were not ever meant for all the elves. They were meant for those ones that were left after Bazur was cursing creatures. So there's just not enough room anymore." Well, that made sense. We had uncursed so many tribes and individuals elves too. Tora always went with the Morberns to help Barkus, the silent kinds, to load them onto the boats to be taken by Goddess Balas. We managed to load all of the elves on the Morberns. The only reason was that since they were so small and Morberns were so big that it worked. Tora gave the backpack full of fairies to Myriad Svala until he was back again. There was urgency in the air. Everyone was on the edge. I could swear right now that we will meet Bazur today, but I really did not want to jinx it for today, so I kept quiet. The air was full of anticipation for sure. Something came suddenly into view behind those houses. It was like a white ghost with ripped clothes on. Everyone gasped, and I could hear Elavun scream a little behind her fist that she was trying to muffle the noise coming out. I saw Thrain walking beside him and realized that that must be Eirik's disguise. I guess myriads were also getting ready to meet Bazur. Tara half laughed, half looked at something else that I could not pinpoint what. And she spoke. "Well, that is impressive, Svala. You really made him a ghost." Svala looked at Tara. "He passes then?" Everyone just nodded. Jack said, "If I did not see Thrain, I would have been already hiding somewhere. I am sure Eirik can make such a show also when seeing Bazur, meeting Bazur. Now he's already so scary just standing there, Eirekkar said to Svala. Thank you. Looks like you did a great job. Wow, I said. This tension is really getting to me. Can we start walking? I really just want to do something, Tara nodded. It is anyway the smartest thing that we keep moving. My goal is that we go to the next place and then we eat lunch. I hope Tora and the rest of the Morbians catch up us by then and Flickfingulkings make it back. The trip for them is not that long and they can fly double speed back. Everyone nodded and we lined up again behind Tara. Honestly, I felt a little worried that we did not have any more bears or Tora with us right now. I knew they would be here in a few moments, but still I almost felt naked. I know Capritors were around us. There were about a dozen of them around us all the time, even when some did go with Morbius transports always as well and accompanied them. I was not scared that we wouldn't be warned. I was worried if Morbius were not here yet. What was going to be our plan then? What would I do then? Just hide? I started to get myself even more nervous. So I stopped my spiraling and started to scan my side. And although whatever happens, that happens, we will do the best we can. Anyways, I reminded myself that if Bazur is alone, only Eirekkar will face him here on the fifth woods side. That was a chapter for today. What did you like about it? Can you comment below? And if you get lost of some plot detail, hey, please ask and I will help you back on track. Return for the next chapter. Just check the next chapter number. They are all numbered for you. And bye. See you tomorrow.